All right, political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou is here this evening to discuss the ANC's 16th elective regional conference and the Afrika Mayibuye Movement as it rolls up its sleeves for its first ever national convention. He joins us now virtually. Dr. Ndou, a very good evening to you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to the late edition. First of all, just how politically significant is Loyiso Masuku's narrow victory over an incumbent mayor in one of the ANC's most strategic metropolitan regions?
Good evening, Simpiwe. Good evening to the viewers at home. This is quite significant win for Loyiso Masuku on the basis of the fact that, as indicated in a clip, that she is the first woman to become the regional chairperson of Johannesburg. And this reaffirms the position of the ANC that women should also be given an opportunity, and indeed, as they deserve, to occupy senior positions in the party. It's also a significant win on the basis of the fact that she appears to be still very young, and she has got a good support of both the structures of the ANC and the leagues in that region. It's also a significant boost for the ANC's 2026 local government elections, in the sense that it will be for the first time that the campaign or the face of the campaign in Johannesburg will be that of a woman. But what I also expect to see is that in a highly contested election like this one, Masuku should be able to unite the different groupings, those that were in support of Morero and that was in support of her, so that they strengthen the unity of the organization in the city of Johannesburg.
Speaking of unity of the ANC in the city of Johannesburg, does this result signal renewal within the ANC in Johannesburg, or a consolidation of internal factional power?
It actually depends on what has been the plan of the different groupings whilst they were campaigning. Whether in their campaign they know that they would be winners and losers, and also be able to develop a unity strategy to move forward. It also depends on what are the things that these groupings were saying about each other whilst they were campaigning. Because in most instances, differences, factionalism, and hatred could also develop whilst candidates are contesting, because that is the moment in which they would be speaking bad about each other. But it is also about the attitude of the members, and indeed both those who have won and those who have lost, on how do they move forward. Are they going to have the us and them attitude, or are they going to be able to move together? That is something that we still have to wait and see. Already, there are some who are starting to talk about deployment or redeployment of the current mayor in the city of Johannesburg. Those are some of the issues that, if they're not being properly managed and being properly accepted by those who are redeployed, they can be a source of conflict within the party.
Now, Dr. Ndou, how should we interpret the 184 to 149 split? Is this perhaps a mirror of deep internal division, or just healthy democratic contestation?
We can interpret it in different ways. Morero and Masuku have worked together for quite some time.
Yeah.
And there are people who thought that they might not end up contesting each other. It therefore would tell you that maybe in terms of how they campaigned, and how the people responded, it became difficult to have an outright winner. It might also be influenced by the fact that maybe some people went to the conference not having been decided, and they actually decided whilst they were at the conference. That's why we've got this kind of a margin. But anything is possible. What, in my view, would be the most important factor would be how do they manage the unity of the party moving forward.
And having said that, does Masuku's elevation then strengthen or weaken Mayor Dada Morero's position ahead of the local government elections? I mean, historically, when a regional chairperson defeats a sitting mayor in internal elections, I mean, what tends to happen next?
I think it will depend on the plans that the ANC, and indeed here, the ANC at provincial and national level, would decide about Mayor Morero. If they decide to keep him as the mayor and complete the task that he has at hand, he's actually left with very, very few months that he can complete his work. That, in my view, could signal unity and understanding amongst the ANC members in Johannesburg. It can also give a good opportunity to Masuku to focus on the activities of the ANC and the election campaign while she's not in office, because all the energies that she'll be having will be directed towards the campaign outside the responsibilities of the office. But it will also depend on whether the provincial government has indicated, the provincial leadership of the ANC in the province rather, has got much bigger plans for Morero beyond this conference.
Now, Dr. Ndou, earlier on at the beginning of this interview, you made mention of the fact that Masuku is fairly younger and might possibly attract and entice the younger audiences and younger voters, as it were. And the phrase "new kids on the block" implies generational change. And the question is whether Masuku's rise is possibly an example of the ANC trying to recapture younger or urban voters, or this could be a rebranding of old politics, but in a new phase. And then, Dr. Ndou, let's enter Afrika Mayibuye Movement, just less than a year old, holding its national convention this weekend. Just how seriously should South Africans take a political party at this stage?
I think what is very, very important will be, firstly, how seriously does Afrika Mayibuye take themselves seriously? And what I've observed with a party like Afrika Mayibuye is that they have done a lot of consultation. They've been everywhere in South Africa trying to explain their message to ordinary citizens. They have also tried in their own leadership to be as representative as possible in terms of the vastness of the Republic of South Africa. This would be a make or break for Afrika Mayibuye, because this is the moment in which their policy positions should be clearly articulated. Issues that relate to leadership of the party should be made very clear for everyone to see. But also, very importantly, Afrika Mayibuye should also be able to come with a strategy for the 2026 local government elections. Those, in my view, are the three main issues that Afrika Mayibuye has to focus on. The message that they must come out with after a weekend should be the message that is embraced by the majority of South Africans, and then maybe they could be able to make a much bigger difference in the body politic of this country.
I mean, you just touched on the policy articulation which would serve, or rather which would chart a way forward for the party. And it begs the question whether the rapid move towards a defined policy blueprint is perhaps a sign of strong planning or political urgency.
You need to be able to identify a political party mainly by its policy positions.
Okay.
Already, Afrika Mayibuye has made a proposal of having a commission that talks to black poverty. Maybe that is one of the issues that we might hear it being emphasized by Afrika Mayibuye. But I think what Afrika Mayibuye also has to do is to do all they could to be seen as indeed a new party, which is totally different from many other parties that we have had in South Africa. Maybe this time they would be able to do something or come with something quite different from what we've seen, which can create a potential for them to be a force to be taken seriously by the voters.
And I think that point, whether it will be a force to be taken seriously, we wait to see. I mean, we wait to see whether it will disrupt the local government elections, especially in urban areas like Johannesburg. But Levy Ndou, great chatting to you. Thank you so much for your analysis.
You're always welcome.
Well, that was political analyst Dr. Levy Ndou making us make sense of Johannesburg's political terrain, which is shifting. I mean, Loyiso Masuku's narrow victory over Mayor Dada Morero, 184 votes to 149, doesn't just change an internal ANC structure. It potentially resets the balance of power in one of South Africa's most strategic metros as we move into a critical local government election year.